Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cosm Podcast. My name is Tyler James Berger, and in this episode, Alex Grey and Allyson Grey interview artists Martina Hoffman and Pascal Ferry. Martina Hoffman, a German-born artist, offers the viewer a detailed glimpse into her inner landscapes, imagery inspired by expanded states of consciousness. Her visionary realism, decidedly feminine, places the universal woman in an intimate cosmos. Martina's life and work was profoundly influenced by her 30-year relationship with the renowned fantastic realist painter Roberto Venosa, who passed away in 2011. The couple co-taught painting workshops at conferences, symposiums, and festivals all over the world. Both Martina and Robert have been featured in Cosm Journal and will be represented in the inaugural exhibition in the All One Gallery when Entheon opens. Martina currently resides in Brittany, France with her partner, artist Pascal Ferry, whose work has been exhibited worldwide. Pascal creates atmospheric and deeply spiritual paintings that draw inspiration from the visionary, symbolist, and mystical traditions. Through nature mysticism, Pascal's imagery calls on his inner journeys in search of lost civilizations and their spiritual connection. Please welcome Martina Hoffman and Pascal Ferry.
Well, welcome everyone to the Cosm Podcast. And today we have some of our favorite people, Martina Hoffman and Pascal Ferry, who are joining us today and from across the oceans. Thank you, Martina. It's we've been friends for decades now.
That's right.
Indeed, yes. Yes.
We were just about to find out where you are. Tell us all where we're talking to you from.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's really wonderful to see you both. It's been 3 years since Prague, since we saw each other at the ITC conference with Stanislav Graf and such amazing, incredible pioneers, and we shared some really great times, investigating some of the alchemical museums and the little alchemical vestiges of Prague. So it's really great to see you, and thanks for inviting us for this wonderful conversation. And yes, we've been friends for a long time now, and I love you both, and I miss you. We've been in France together with my partner Pascal, and COVID kind of prevented us from traveling to my Boulder home this year. Normally we come and we spend several months out of the year in Boulder, and this year we just got stopped short, and we've been in Carnac, in Brittany, which is on the west coast of France. It's a very specific region. It's very it's actually called the megalithic world capital because Karnak has the largest stone alignments, 4,000 stones on a length of 4 kilometers and 98 acres. So it's a very, very large ancient stone temple, if you want. And we live a lot of tumuluses and
dolmen, menhir.
Yes.
And we are in Karnak, the oldest tombeau.
Yeah, the oldest grave, the oldest step pyramid on the planet is here.
Wow, really? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Are you?
It's called the Tumulus Saint-Michel, and Pascal is French, so he will be speaking as much in English as he can, and I might just step in here and there and translate for him.
I have loved seeing all of the passageways in your artwork, Martina, over the years, and how you've brought in the visionary worlds into your already masterful craftsmanship and your ability for portraiture and everything like that. I've always admired your drawing ability, just like I love Roberto for the same reason. You know, I felt a kinship with your fanaticism. And could you chart a little bit like the relationship, say, between psychedelics and portraying the visionary worlds? Do you feel like that was something you were always about, or was it something that came on more within that? Or was there another spiritual tradition that opened you up prior to that time in your work?
Yeah. Well, I feel that this sense of there being something much larger than me has been with me since very young. I remember this as a child and throughout my life, and I've had quite a few experiences that sort of led me down that path towards wanting to investigate the visionary space. And what I felt was definitely what I would call later a mystical experience. When I was really young, I would just be amazed at sensing something that felt so magical and so real and so wholesome, and that made me feel so integrated. But as I discovered later on in life, the entheogens, and that was certainly with Robert's help, because he was such a pioneer. He had been in New York and was in the 60s already experiencing Sandoz acid. And so he was a real, pioneer, old school. And so he introduced me to my first journeys, and it changed my life. I mean, radically. Like Stanislav Grof once said that, where he said, I did so many years of psychoanalysis, but then when I took my first acid trip, it changed everything, like overnight or in those few hours. And we all know how that feels and how incredible that sets us on this path that will always kind of stay our path after this experience. So for my early career, I think I focused mainly on portraying these experiences, and so it's been a real pleasure to have had the shamanic plant medicine aspect in the Amazon added into the mix. And Robert and we spent many years going down there, especially when he got sick. We really emphasized our journeys down there, and we worked with medicines. And so ayahuasca was a big influence in my work, and that really grabbed my attention because the DMT generated visions that are just so incredibly powerful. So I had more than enough inspiration to paint for eons. If I never journeyed again, I could always pull inspiration from that bag. And so yeah, that's how it's been. And but there's also, meditation has always been a good part of my life, and dreams. And
can I ask if these are your paintings, Pascal, that we're looking at, or are these Martina's paintings?
It's me. It's a painting of me, a new painting, and a new painting of Martina.
So I'm going to move just a little bit. So.
Oh my goodness, look at that. So these are two works next to each other, like we have our two works next to us.
Right.
Yes.
We thought it would be interesting to show, because these are very sort of recent paintings, and we are definitely cross-pollinating each other. It's always the blue, I think, came back into my work because I'm so close to the ocean. It's just the colors, it's just this. Yeah, it's called glass. It's a certain color that is sort of a green bluish ocean color. It's actually the color of this land. They call it glass. And so a lot of my paintings have changed into that direction. But also, this is a particularly different piece because I painted it for an exhibition that we had planned for the summer. and it's called Vessels of Stone. So you see some of the megalithic alignments right here. I don't know if you can see it well. And then this vessel is arriving, and you see some alignments up there, some gateways. And
can you speak something of the transformation in your work from, say your old life in Boulder to now? Because to us, the work looks very new, right?
yes.
Tell us a little more about that what you've been going through in that.
Yeah, indeed, it's very true. So my older work, and especially the work I created in the 90s and early 2000s, they were still very, very influenced by plant medicine and my direct experience. So I felt I was more of a translator of these visions. I wanted to show the language. That was really my goal. I wanted to show what these spaces look like. Of course, it's always a almost futile attempt, because as we know, we try all of our lives, and we get closer every time, but then as I came here, I felt everything changed about my work. The colors changed, they became more somber. Yes, everything changed, like my whole environment changed, my whole modus operandum changed, my culture changed, and I actually became somewhat disconnected from this huge visionary community that I feel I'm still a part of, but I wasn't encountering people every day, the ones I could just easily talk to, and we had this understanding like we have. And in Boulder, there's certainly a huge community, and you just step out the door and there's certain things you just assume that this is the basis for our lives. And here it was very different, because I had to explain myself. I felt I had to start over and kind of explain what these journeys had been. And so but I also feel that my new work is less directly influenced by particular entheogenic experiences, but rather I've become a more open-ended just vessel for whatever wants to come through. And I feel that my work has in a way become more authentic, because it just is, there's no, I have even less of an agenda with my work now than I had before. And it's just this flow of information and these messages that want to manifest themselves. And I feel like I'm always spirit guided as well. I've known my guides and my helpers, and now Robert is a part of it. When I paint, I always feel like he's, sometimes he's looking over my shoulder, and it kind of goes, yeah, come on, go for that, just. And so this work is just coming through, and I think it's always, all this information is always making itself manifest, because we are, in that sense, maybe we are kind of like the old shamans who would bring forth information for the tribe and would share it with the tribe. And so it's not, I feel like there's even less ego involved in my work. It just happens, and I just let it be.
I love what I see behind you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, there's much more. Anybody who wants to see can certainly go on our websites, because we've been creating so much work over the last few years, because we've been really kind of deeply going into the creative process, and that's what we focus on. The creating art has become our primary focus, even before socializing or being with friends. That doesn't mean we've become completely disconnected, but we really make our work and just bringing through what wants to be created. That's been our main focus. And
I've always felt like that there's something about the creative act that because you feel you're basically always searching for a new kind of beauty that that you haven't seen before, that is pushing your work, the boundaries of your work that only you know. And so it's a personal, like a volcano spews out magma and it creates new landmass. You're creating new territory for your consciousness, and consequently for other people's consciousness to live in as well. To see the kind of brushwork that I remember you starting your career with, and all the care and the cross hatching and everything that and then to come to a point of kind of just stirring luminosity. It has a sense of both the ectoplasmic, that was one of the things that I think that you and Roberto and Pascal, I think you even have a sense of a kind of, it's not a hardened crystal, but there's a glass-like or pearlescent kind of living luminosity that is part of the work. And I think that part of the challenge for visionary artists is that they don't exactly know where the lighting is sometimes on their subject, because it's self-luminous. How do you achieve that? So I think that this is a rare achievement that I think that you've been working on for a long time in your work.
Yeah, we both greatly admire your ability that we know. This is brand new, and I'm just loving where it's going. And I also wanted to make sure we didn't forget to ask you about, I think you were working on a film.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. I've been working on this film that Stanislav Grof conducted an interview with Robert and I in 2009, and he came to our house in Boulder, to our studio, and he spent 3 days with us. And every day he would, we had the first day with Stan and I, the second day with Robert, and the third day, well, the three of us would be talking. So we just would talk about our inspirations, our aspirations, our favorite people, and the people who changed our lives, like Albert Hoffman, Dr. Albert, and about visionary art, the history of visionary art, the sacred, feminine, and otherwise in relationship. And Robert talked a lot about his early vision of his spirit entity, this angel that he tried to paint all his life. And so this huge amount of footage needed to be edited, and it took me many years to do that. And it took me also, I had to wait for the right time to be able to do this. And it's finally finished. It's a long labor of love, and we narrowed it down to about 1 hour and 45 minutes. So it's become a movie, and that I'm really happy with. And 9 years after Robert's passing, it feels like it also helped me to put a beautiful bow around our relationship and honor this relationship. And it's a time capsule, if you want. It's a time capsule because it's the last extended conversation between Robert and I and Stan, but Robert and I that we recorded. So it's very close to my heart, this project. And it was just released, and it's available online now. People can just go to my website and look under Transpersonal Conversations, and trans in brackets. And so, and I'm hoping that, the people who've been following us throughout the years will enjoy. And it's certainly great to have Robert in there and just express and it's very embellished with many of our paintings and animations and just you have it. So it was a fun project. So I'm very happy to have this finished, and also to honor Stan in his beautiful, this very ripe and special time in his life, where he's also releasing his movie, The Way of the Psychonaut, which is an incredible film about his life's work and path, and just really features his pioneering work, which has changed the world of psychoanalysis and just the world of what is commonly known as mental disease, which is, I think, a misnomer in many cases.
Well, he really helped to map the dimensions of awareness that I feel, and I think that he's a really important voice in the visionary art world as well, because as the premier psychedelic researcher, he always used visionary art, and especially, of course, Giger, his friend, but visionary art to illustrate or point to these states of awareness. And it's, for the most part, precisely what those visionary artists were attempting to do, was to describe those psychedelic states. And so it wasn't art historians or art critics that wrote the first book about psychedelic art. It was masters in Houston, psychologists and psychiatrists. So
Gene Houston, Psychedelic Art. That's a book is it from the 60s or is it from the 70s?
No,
70. Was it? Oh no, was it late 60s?
67.
I think so. Yeah.
68. And so Stan Krippner and all those guys. So visionary art has always been about describing a dimension of awareness, and without understanding the ground rules about consciousness or something, you don't understand what visionary art is. And so it's so incredible, so important that you guys had that conversation with Stan, and that you really went into all these subjects. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, and we also, as always, I try to point to the beginnings of our known worlds as far as we can reach back, and the idea that visionary art began a long time ago with the Paleolithic cave art and the depictions of expanded states of consciousness, even then, and the shamanic practices. So, and it's been a current that has been flowing throughout the ages that has never left us. So it's less of a school of art for me, but a real current that is always there for the artists that have had the connection with the spiritual and the mystical, and
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's because I think the point that also visionary art brings to the world is that this has been from the very beginning, perhaps even the source of art itself. And since all the subjects of visionary art, the theory and morphs and things like that we see in the caves, and from 40,000 years ago, the Lion Man,
Yes.
Like some of the oldest known artwork in the world is visionary art.
Yeah, and the therianthropes describing always the shape shifting and the transformation that happens, even metaphorically.
But before we wrap it up, I wanted to ask you what other projects or any other things that you think our viewers would be interested in knowing. What should they know about you? How do they find you?
Okay, well, yeah. So both of us can be found online, of course. Pascal has a website, which is pascalferry.com. So that's Pascal with a C.
Put
And
it
you'll probably put it up. MartinaHoffman.com. There is robertvenosa.com. Robert is always a part of our lives. I've had the incredible joy and luck to be with the man who has no problem to incorporate my life with Robert into ours without. It's kind of like a, in a spiritual way, we have a three-way relationship. So there's nothing kinky about it, or maybe there is. I don't know. I have to think about that.
I think more love. What could
Yeah.
be?
Yeah, just unconditional love. So we're present there. Then there's also Les Vaisseaux de Pierre, Vessels of Stone, which is a site on Facebook that people can follow if they're interested in what we're doing with this organization that is trying to bring more awareness to visionary art and the visionary element and the in megalithic culture. And we are, as always, we keep the idea keeps growing that we will at some point have a space. It's not going to be a huge space probably, but a modest space that will allow the three of us to show our work publicly, constantly, and in exchange with other artists as well, inviting artists here. My idea is to really, I've always lived between the two continents, and I continue to do that. And I have my presence in the United States in Boulder that's going to remain, but I would like to also create something here with Pascal. And so this is still, and Robert's idea was to call it Viva. It's still Viva. And so I'm just going to mention it lightly because it's an ongoing project. And we continue to exhibit. We're also part of this fabulous museum here in France, which is called Naya Museum. And Naya Museum is not too far from us. It's about an hour's drive, and it's in a town that was elected the most beautiful village in France. It's medieval, and the Naya Museum is in an old castle, and it is the only museum of imaginary art. That's how they coin it in Europe. Tu veux dire quelque chose aussi sur Naya Musée? Sinon, je continue. It was created by Manu van H and her husband Patrice Pitubert, who's a fabulous sculptor. Manu is a wonderful painter, and they really assembled some of the very finest contemporary visionary artists in Europe, but also from overseas. So we're about 85 international artists now in this museum, and we've been part of this museum since its conception in 2015.
We want to congratulate you for all of your success that we're catching up on. Your book, your movie, you're showing in a beautiful museum, and your incredible evolution in your work. And we're so grateful to have you. I have to also express my tremendous appreciation. You have always been so kind to us whenever we run into each other. You showed us all around and have given us time and your heart. And every time we've been able to cross paths is memorable to both of us. And we've taken your work with us to every city, hundreds of cities, literally in 5 continents, where we show people the history, the contemporary greatest visionary art. And yours is always among them, and you are always one of our favorite contemporary visionary artists. So we're very fond of the way you work, and it's just an incredible honor to know you. And thank you for
likewise.
Thank you so much, Martina. Thank you so much, Pascal, for being on the program today.
Until we speak again soon, very, very soon. Thank you so much, Alex and Allyson, for this opportunity to share our art and our lives with you and your community. It is indeed an honor to have known you for such a long time and to be friends with you. And I equally have wonderful memories of our shared moments. And you are a wonderful, amazing art couple. Visionary art couple. I was that also with Robert, and now Pascal and I are continuing the work and upholding the visionary art vision as best as we can. And you are equally present in our presentations on visionary art. So until we hug again, until we see each other again beyond this very strange time on this planet, I keep you in my hearts. And we love you. Thank you so much.
Thanks again for listening to the COSM podcast. To learn more about Martina and Pascal, you can check out the links in the description to this episode. To stay up to date on any future podcasts or virtual events, be sure to follow COSM on Facebook and Instagram, and to subscribe on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube.